Hello everyone, welcome to Tech.Tonic Hub. In today's video, we are going to learn the fundamentals of HTML. If you are completely new to web development, don't worry because this lecture is designed for beginners. By the end of this video, you will understand what is HTML, why HTML is called markup language, the relationship between HTML, CSS and JavaScript, the tools needed to write HTML, HTML tags and attributes, how to create your very first web page using Visual Studio Code. So without wasting any time, let's get started. Let's begin by understanding what HTML actually is. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Now let's understand each word of the HTML. First, hypertext. Hypertext means text that contains the link to other pages. For example, whenever you click a menu item on a website and it takes you to another page, that navigation is possible because of hyperlinks. Next comes markup. Markup means adding tags to describe the structure of content. Instead of telling the browser how something should look, HTML tells the browser what the content actually is. For example, this is heading, this is paragraph, this is an image, this is a table, and finally next will be the language. HTML is a language made up of tags that browser understand. One important thing to remember is that HTML is not a programming language because it doesn't contain logic such as loops or conditions. Its primary purpose is to structure web content. Think of HTML as a skeleton of a human body. Without skeleton, the body has no shape. Similarly, without HTML, a web page has no structure. Every website you visit, whether it's a Google, Amazon, YouTube or Facebook, everyone uses the HTML. Now why it is called as markup language? HTML uses tags to mark up the content. For example, if you want to write the heading as a welcome, we use the heading tag that is H1. The browser understands that welcome is a main heading. These tags provide meaning to the content. The browser reads every HTML tag and creates something called the DOM or Document Object Model. Think of the DOM as a tree structure where every HTML element becomes a branch or node. Now next, another important concept is the three core technologies used in web development. The first one is HTML, which we discussed earlier, and the second one is CSS. Now CSS is cascading style sheets. This language makes the web page beautiful. It changes color, font, spacing, layout and the animation. Simply it gives the design to or a style to a web page. And the third concept, main language, is JavaScript. JavaScript makes the web page interactive. It handles buttons, click, image slider, form validation, pop-ups, game and much more. Here is an analogy. Imagine you are building a house. HTML is the bricks and walls. CSS is paint, furniture and decoration. JavaScript is the electricity, fan, light and smart device. Without HTML, there is no house. Without CSS, the house looks plain. Without JavaScript, the house works but lack interactive features. Together, these three technologies can create a modern website. Okay, let's move together. Next concept is the editor tools which are required for HTML. We need an editor to write that code. The simplest editor is Notepad on Windows or TextEdit on macOS. These editors are useful for very basic coding but don't provide many features. As much better choice is a Visual Studio Code, commonly known as VS Code. VS Code is one of the most popular editor among developers because it offers syntax highlighting, auto-completion, extension, error detection and also the live server support. Another useful tool is Browser Developer Tool. You can open it by pressing F12 or right-clicking on the web page and selecting Inspect. Developer tools allow you to inspect HTML, modify CSS, debug JavaScript and understand how websites are built. For beginner, I strongly recommend using Visual Studio Code. Next we'll learn the basic HTML tag. HTML is made up of tags. Tags are keywords enclosed inside the angle brackets, right? For example, heading, paragraph, image. Most HTML tags come in pairs, like some of contains opening and closing tags, and some of are self-closing tags. Everything between them is a content. However, some tags do not require closing tags. These are called as empty or self-closing elements. Example, image, break, HR. For example, this display is an image. Remember, opening tag starts an element, closing tag ends an element. Together they form an HTML element. Now let's understand creating your first HTML file. Now let's create our first web page on Visual Studio Code. For that we'll need the Visual Studio Code downloading. For that, go on the Chrome, search Visual Studio Code download. Click on the first link, open it, and there will be the three options: VS Code for Windows, VS Code for Mac OS, and Windows Code for Linux. Select which one you want according to your operating system, download it and open it. Now look at this. This is my HTML. This is my VS Code editor. Maybe yours doesn't like this because I used recently it. Because of that, it is looking like this. Now we will create our first folder called HTML practices or HTML, whichever you want you can create. Inside the folder, create a new file named index.html. To create this file, we'll click on the file icon and select it. While you type index.html, it consider as extension .html. Okay. Now we want to type the code in this. For that, it's our starting, where we don't know what is HTML, how to write, and what to write inside the editor. For that, VS Code provides a very best feature, that is providing a HTML boilerplate using an emit abbreviation. Simply you will type the exclamation mark and press enter. VS Code automatically generates the code, the basic structure of the HTML code which we need to write the code, and it is called HTML boilerplate. Now next, step 5 is like whenever we write our HTML code, we'll need a server or something to run the program. For that, we want to install live server extension. Now let's understand how to download the live server. In the VS Code, at the left side in the extension tab, search live server. Here we will get the launch a development local server by Ritvik Dey. Click on it, install. It will install and enable automatically. Later we will understand how to run our HTML file using this live server. Whenever we save our file, the browser runs and automatically displays us the HTML code. This makes the development much faster. Understanding the HTML boilerplate. Now let's understand every part of the basic HTML template. First is the doc type HTML. This tells the browser that we are using the HTML5. Another tag is HTML. This is the root element of the web page. Next tag is head. The head contains information about the web page that users normally don't see. Inside head, we usually place title, meta tags, and CSS links. First comes the title. The title appears on the browser tab. Another one is the body. Everything inside the body becomes visible on the web page. For example, headings, paragraphs, images, button, table, list, etc. In our example, if we try to display heading inside the body tag, then it displays on the web page. Always write the HTML tags in lowercase because it improves the readability and follows the industry standard. Now let's understand comments and case sensitivity in HTML. Sometimes we want to write the notes inside our code. For that we use comments. Comments are written like this. We use angular brackets. Inside that, use the exclamation mark and then hyphen hyphen, write the comment hyphen hyphen. The browser completely ignores the comment. Comments are useful for explaining your code or temporarily disabling the part of it. Although the HTML is not case sensitive, developer always writes the tag in lowercase because it is considered as a best practice. You can also refer lowercase, otherwise you can write it into the uppercase also. Next point is HTML attributes. Attribute provides an additional information about an HTML element. They are always written inside the opening tag. For example, if we take as image and we upload that image on our web page, and if you want to display its name, we use the parameter as or the attribute as alt, which is like alternative name. Whenever our image is not visible to display, that time this alternative name is displayed on the page so that our user can understand. It also improves the accessibility for users who rely on screen readers. Congratulations, you have learned the fundamentals of HTML. Today we covered what HTML is, why HTML is called markup language, HTML, CSS and JavaScript, HTML editors, HTML tags, creating your first web page, HTML boilerplate, comments and attributes. In the next lecture, we'll start writing more HTML elements. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like video, subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next lecture.